Oh my, lots of people. Okay, I think we have everybody joined in now. Okay, great. Hey, everyone.
Hi, Andrea.
Hello. Hey, we have our friends up in Minnesota with Just for Kicks on the line with us tonight for our first October webinar to prep us for state. So we are focusing on how to clean hip hop tonight. And with Just for Kicks, we have Cindy Clow, and we have Allie, and we have Annie. And they have a whole group of kids back there to show us how to clean hip hop. So everybody on the line, you are muted. And that is on purpose so we don't get a bunch of feedback. But you can, at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little chat feature. If you click on that, if you have questions as we're going, please type those in there, okay? And Just for Kicks Clan, I may just interrupt you if a question comes up or something, okay?
Perfect.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Hi, all you great coaches in Iowa. I miss so many of you, and we're excited to do this. And what we're going to do is start off with a warm-up first, just to get them a little warm and show you what we do to get moving in our hip-hop style. So take it away.
So the reason that we wanted to show you this is we feel like it is so important, especially when it comes to cleaning your hip-hop dances, that their movement is the same and that they're all also able to isolate. Because I would say that's probably one of the hardest things, especially if you've had a choreographer come in and choreograph your dance for you, is getting them to all be able to move their ribs and all those different creepy, crazy movements that you do in hip hop. So we just want to go through our warm up really fast. I'm not going to do it as long as I normally would, but we're just going to kind of show you each movement that we go through. So first, we normally like to start with our heads, and I let their hands kind of be wherever, but we work on our head movement, isolating it side to side, and really focusing on that stopping in the middle, then moving forward and back, and forward and back. Then we'll speed it up, and we'll do it side, inside, 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 and forward, 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 forward. And we maybe do that for a little bit longer. Then we move into our shoulders, so we're working on isolating through our shoulders and lifting up and down, down. And we'll switch to our other shoulder first. Up and down, and up, and we'll double time it. Up, down, up, down, other way, and bump, bump. So they maybe weren't doing it exactly the same as me because I kind of switched it up on them from what I normally do. So we'll do that. Then we will double time our shoulders together and just working on that. And these guys are pretty good at it. But if you have kids that struggle with isolations, it's sometimes hard to just separate those shoulder movements. So this is a good one for them to do. Then my favorite is moving into the ribs. And I would say with hip hop, your ribs and your head are extremely important with a lot of your movements. So we like to talk about isolating our ribs. I like to have their knees bent because I think it makes it a little bit easier. But we're going to go side and center, side and center, side and center, and forward is next. We go forward and back and forward and back. Now when we're doing that too, I like to sometimes have my kids turn to the side and look that they're actually focusing on lifting their chest out of their body rather than just doing like a booty pop out, that we're actually lifting forward with our ribs and dropping it center and then pushing it back and center. So going that way, then we'll do where we move it around. So we'll go side and front and side and back and side and front and other way we go, side and front, side and back, side and front and side, double time we go, side, front, side, back, front, side, back. Now when you do that, I like to have them do the fast one, and sometimes we'll double time it even faster where we're going side, front, all the way around. And it's really good to make them work on that stopping point, because it's hard, and the faster you go, the harder it gets. Then from there, we'll move into where we do it smooth, so we'll go around, and around, other way we go around, and around. Good, so it's good to get the movement of the stopping point, but then also the movement smooth through. Then we will do the whole same combo with our hips, just working on lift, and lift, and lift, and lift. Can't really see with our long strips on, and back, and forward, and back. So working on isolating just our hip region. Then we'll do the same thing, side, and front, and side, and back, and side, and front, and side. We'll do it the other way, and then we'll do it all the way through, and around, boom, and around. So those are kind of our basic warm-ups of that. Then we also love to do our arm warm-up. So this one, we start out here, and we go first to a fist. Then we do palm down. Then we move it to our elbow, boom. We switch to our other side, boom. Out to our hand, we make a fist, palm, give a good nod, because it feels good. So then we'll do it slow again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We double time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we smooth it through. So we go all the way through our arms, but just working on warming up all those muscles in our arms as well. Then my last one that I really like to do is our arm facing here. So we bring our arms here, drop them to here, and out, and in, and out, and in. And these guys have gotten pretty good at this, but I'm sure they would all tell you that when they started doing it, it was really hard because everybody's arm does this. You want to bring it down here for some reason, but our whole goal is to keep it straight from elbow to elbow, and then that movement can move smooth through those positions. So that's kind of the warm-up that we like to go through at the beginning of class. Gets it straight, gets everything nice and warmed up. Then we're going to move on to really quick our two different across the floors that we like to do. Again, I like to do this because when it comes to hip hop, I feel like so many dancers struggle with the posture of hip hop. So doing just these basic across the floors helps them really think about the feeling of their bodies and forgetting about like your technique that you have for a kick dance or a jazz dance. So really focusing on the posture and then the fast footwork. So we're going to show it to you with two different signs. We'll walk it through really quick first. So we like to start with just doing a basic kickball change. So they do kickball change and kickball change and kick, heel, a kick, heel, and a kick, step back, and kick, step back. And I love this because it makes you have to like totally switch your footwork and switch your upper body direction as well. So if you play the one in that list that says, tell me when to go. What's the name again? Tell me when to go. Oh, got it. Ready? 5, 6, up 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll get 5, 6, 8, 5, up. And so on. I'm making that all the way across. Then, once we kind of get good at that, we can speed it up, make it a lot harder. So we like to use the song Level Up because it's really great to doing this one fast. We start right at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Okay, here we go. So those are just some of our across the floors that we really like. The last one that I'm going to do before we get into cleaning, this is the one we found it. We found it from a guy that taught hip hop when we tried it. We were like, oh my gosh, that is so crazy and so hard. But it's really good for coordination, also just strengthening the muscles in their legs, and it's just like kind of difficult to figure out mentally. Absolutely. These guys are kind of getting into it hard when we first did it. It was kind of difficult. So you're in like a low plie, so you're on your toes and your knees are going to twist out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in. Your whole goal is to stay low and not bounce up, just like Andy's doing. So you're staying really level across the floor and low the whole way. So we'll just do it. Let's just do one half through and then do side, back, side, front. So 4, 3, 2, 1, side, back, side, front. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. We go 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, back, side, front. So that's another good one for working strength in the legs. Yeah.
Okay, we had a quick question. To focus, what do you do to focus on flex feet, or you want to focus on flex feet?
I think it depends. I always like to say, like, I mean, in hip hop, more often your feet are going to be flexed. We don't want to have that in between feeling of it being kind of flexed and kind of pointed. So I think, again, doing these across the board and having them really focus on that as they're doing their kickball changes and these things, it can really help to work on that as well. And that plays through.
Okay, so I thought I would just talk a little bit while, am I in there? Good. Okay, so one of the things I laugh about myself a lot when I'm cleaning anything is a lot of times I'll be like 5, 6, 7, 8, stop. That's about as far as we get because you have to be that picky. So I think it should be exhausting to be a good teacher or a good coach. You have to be very focused. A lot of 3-measure polishing we suggest where you clean one measure, then the next, and the next. And think about this, watching your routine from about 8 angles of the room. I like to watch it from the front corner, that corner, this way, that corner. You've got to watch it from every diagonal so you see all the different things with cleaning. Many, many times if I'm out in the lobby and I come in, I see something different than when I was up front. You got to get up on a ladder. You can't just stay front and middle. You got to move around the room. I think a good coach needs to learn to cue. That helps your kids clean faster if you can lead them into the next measure. And if I goof up cueing, a lot of times you lead them into screwing up because I've cued it poorly. So you've got to learn to cue. You've got to learn to count. You've got to learn to be loud enough. Try to create an urgency with your team so that they clean faster. I just had this question on Facebook today, how to get your kids to get it clean faster. I think you just create a norm and an expectation. This is how we do it. We clean fast, we get it done. I had some coaches come in and watch one of our practices and they're like, oh my gosh, your kids learn so fast. And they're so, they go, we couldn't even figure out what you're saying. And they were nodding going, okay, you move so fast. So think about pushing really early. Like I know in Iowa, your season's different than Minnesota. You guys start, you're already competing your state in December. So you've got to really push early so you can slide into that rather than, you know, feeling like, oh, I wish I had another 2 weeks. So really have clear expectations of what you want from them. And I think right now we can go into one of their routines and they have it clean routines, right?
No, we're gonna.
Which one are you there? Pick the one you want. And they've got a Christmas one and they've got another one that they actually included, right?
Yeah, so we're gonna start cleaning. Actually taught them this yesterday. So we have to do it more with the music so you can kind of see it, and then we'll break it down. It's super short. We'll get a little bit of their competition routine. One thing I did want to say when it comes to cleaning hip hop, especially if you're a coach that you're like, I don't really do hip hop myself. So if you're needing to help them get better at it, find somebody on your team or in a video or the choreographer of the dance or somebody that they can try to emulate, because so much of dance in general is imitation. But also when it comes to breaking something down, to get your team the same, be like, oh, we all want to be like Susie Q, so that they all can start focusing on how that person is moving their body and trying to do the exact same now.
And repetition is key in that specifically. Like, if you want this, you have to do it multiple times to get it right.
Yeah. So let's show them what we learned yesterday. Oh, question?
Question from the crowd. On the kickball changes, when cleaning and polishing, how much would you recommend focusing on the levels of the kid's back foot kick? Or is that part of individuality?
No individuality.
I would focus more on the upper body.
Yeah, that's where, so like when we're doing that across the floor, yes, the footwork is important. One thing I will say about it, when we're first teaching this to kids, I would say kickball change is a very basic hip hop move, but it's also really difficult to do with the hip hop style if you've never done it before. So I know when I first teach to the kids that haven't had hip hop, I get a lot of kickball change. Doing it this way rather than being able to rock with your movement. So really focusing on where your upper body is and also where your weight is. And a lot of hip hop and cleaning is weight transfer. And that's where a lot of kids, if you're sitting there looking at a kid going, something's different, but I can't figure out what it is, a lot of times it's where their weight placement is. So really looking for that feeling of where their body is as they're doing it. Definitely when they're doing a kickball change though, you don't want their leg up too high. It should be very low. And the emphasis isn't on like the kick. A lot of kids get too much emphasis on that kick. So there is emphasis on it, but we're really focusing on the upper body and our posture as we're doing that as well.
Especially this one. Like when we're cleaning this one, especially, we're not focusing a ton on the back leg. It's more about that shoulder switching here. Because a lot of times when they first learned it, it was like one hand hit, and it was all about this. But when we told them to switch their shoulders, that's when everything dropped down and they got more similar.
And then it just adds that hip hop style. So a lot of times, if you're you're feeling like you don't look hip hoppy enough, it tends to be the posture of the body, and the shoulders is where a lot of that comes from. All right, let's show them what we learned yesterday. So that they just learned yesterday, and I would say, in and out. So compared to a lot of hip hop styles, where I feel like high school dancing too, it's a little bit more placed. Where a lot of this is very stylized with like the upper body feeling of it. So we're gonna just walk it through and kind of clean it how we would clean it if we were in class. So we're gonna pretend we're in class right now. So we have them start with these walks, and these are something that we're working on, learning how to stop our upper body. Oh, we should maybe go over this one, because that's a good one to work on across the floor. I have one more across the floor really quick. Before we do it, I love this one because I feel like it really works on learning how to stop your body positioning. But we have where we just step flat foot. You can actually do it not across the floor, so we can just do it in the center and work on it. But we like to do it across the floor. So you step flat foot. You can see Annie's feet. We don't want our back heel off the ground at all, or you won't be able to do it. So both feet need to be flat on the ground, and then from there, we focus on dropping our body down and stopping ourselves. Then we step flat foot, drop. Flat foot, drop. Flat foot, drop. So your goal when you're doing this, what I get a lot of kids doing, is step, down, up. Step, down, up. So we have to focus on the boom, freeze. Boom, freeze. Boom, freeze. And when you're doing this, it's not a lot about, I feel like a lot of kids tend to try to flex their upper body muscles, and you're not really doing that. It's more about the stop of your knees in that position that makes your body move in that way. So that's another good one to do across the floor. But anyways, when we're doing this, so we're starting with this movement, head and head. So again, we haven't cleaned this, so arm placement would probably be my first thing I'm gonna look at, is where your arms are, where the fingers are, and the exact same. So again, just taking some of them, we're gonna copy Annie. So everybody get your body positioning just like Annie is what we've been thinking about doing. And then having them really also focusing on that as well. Look at feet too. A lot of times kids will look off on stuff and it might be that they're leaning. So instead of stepping here, they're stepping here. And that's gonna make a big difference of what they look like as well too. And I'm not gonna take the time to sit and fix every single one of them, but that's what we would do, is look for the different things of like where their feet are, where their shoulders are, how bent are their arms, and fine tuning that. And then we probably do it 10 times in a row where we go 5, 6, 7, 8, hit, and hit. We're do it again. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8, hit, and hit. One more time. 5, 6, 7, 8, hit, and hit. Yeah, so, and I think it's good to really individually correct kids. I think that's something I hear a lot is with coaching, don't generalize it and say some of us are doing it like this. They want to know if they're the ones that you're talking about. So specifically call them out, and we always like to say, we're not doing this to make like because we don't like you or make you feel bad. We're trying to all be the exact same. So it's not like you're doing it bad or wrong. It's just different. So we want to be the exact same when we're doing it.
Also, what Allie said, the shoulders are really important in hip hop, but even in this step, watch what their head is doing. Even if they did this and this looks different than this and this, totally, right? So watching what you like as a coach and what the choreographer wants, and then making sure that everyone's even chin is lifted or lowered, so it's the same.
I'm gonna just add one thing on personal placement, and I'm sitting here watching these kids thinking they learned this yesterday, going, bravo, that's really nice. No, I'm sorry, that's pretty amazing. But I think our kids are very honed in on their personal placement because they've been trained that way. And so that's something I would really encourage you to work with your dancers, that they are looking in the mirror or, at themselves going, okay, where am I off? So that you don't have to correct as much. I got this from Amber Jackson years ago, where she said, on U of M, if we had to tell you 3 times that you were off on something, we kind of look past you because you have to take care of business and get yourself corrected and hopefully you're watching and take a correction, and the next time it'll be right after you're given a correction. So that's huge. Okay, go on. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So we did bum, bum. This walk, I think, is going to be our probably most fun thing. That one is what I would say is one of those stylized things that's going to be a little bit difficult to clean, and it will also take a little bit longer. So especially if you have moves like this that are super stylized, give it a little bit more time than you would like something like even this move. I feel like is a little bit more basic. It is going to be easier to get the same. Where like this is going to be a little bit harder to get all the same. So give them a little bit more time for it. However, at the same time, if you're still getting ready for competition time and it's not looking great, it maybe would be something I would change. It's not that big of a deal. So kind of finding like if it's important enough to keep it, but give it time to still. Should we just do that one? Yeah. So let's do it from this. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. We go. 10, 10, bum, 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 bum. Good. So I think it's head placement is huge. So making sure that you're dipping your head with that, and then your knees, making sure your knees. I can't remember when we did this. Are your knees going out right away? Yeah. So your knees and your hands are kind of matching each other, so they're going in and then out right away. Let's do that one more time. Ready? Diving. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. Go. Hey, hey, bum, 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 bum. Yeah.
And then I noticed that you brought your back to your knees. So they're kind of, driving back.
Yeah, and it's like you're clapping, so then we should stay in that position, and then our fingers apart or together, or so your fingers are slightly natural position. We're not jazz hands, but we're not blades either. So it's that in between.
Right at the T or somewhere lower.
T. Yeah. So level. Do one more time. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. Up, hey, hey, bum, 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 bum. Good. So we're gonna move on. If we were really cleaning this, I probably won't move on yet because we still have little tweaks to fix. But for right now, we are going to move on. So we did 7 and 8 and here we go into 1. So this is one of those things again where those rib isolations for this are really coming into play. Hands are here, so we're keeping them on our ribs, not our hips. So that's even a little thing to look at. That difference of where their hands are going to make them look different. So making sure they're all in the same spot, making sure little things like our toes turned out or parallel, because that's going to make a big difference. Ours are turned out. Yeah, so we're going out on this. Boom, and all the way up, ha, ha, in our levels. So one little thing that I said, for example, yesterday when we were teaching this, is looking at things like if I do this and I'm doing it without moving my legs, it looks a lot different than when I move my legs with the move. And it's gonna look a lot better if I'm moving my legs. So focusing on that feeling of our body when we do it, yeah?
Transfer of weight, like you said before.
Yeah.
Weight transfer.
Weight transfer is so important. Let's do this whole boom, boom, roll, and a ha, ha, and just do that much. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8, go. Boom, boom, and a ha, ha. Some of you can let your feet even come up a little bit more. Like you can, like I feel like when I'm doing it, I'm letting my heel lift a little bit. And like I'm almost lifting my toe on somewhere. Yeah. Lift your toes a little bit on it. We haven't fully decided how we're doing these moves yet either, so we're figuring it out as we're doing this. But that's kind of when you're cleaning stuff, you might go, oh, I don't know what it was supposed to be. So then you have to clarify and make a decision of what it needs to be and what looks the best and cleanest. All right, ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. We go. Boom and boom and boom and hot, hot. Good. So, little thing. This is really a fast movement, but normally too. I was talking to these guys about this yesterday. The difference of like what I look like if I use my body when I'm doing this move or whatever level I'm at. The up and down makes a big difference. Yes, it's this, but if I do that without moving up and down, it's like the creepiest move ever. So they have to move up as you do it, and that's what's gonna make it look cooler rather than like hip thrusty, yeah? So it makes a big difference of what it looks like. Let's do that one more time.
You got it, guys.
Can I ask you a question? What are your basics?
Oh, we have talked about that.
I feel like you have to be sassy.
Sassy, so let's see some faces. All right, here we go.
Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8, go, boom, and a hit, and a whoop, and a
Nice.
yeah. So even specifics that I would look at as I'm cleaning this would be, do we want their hands like a palm hand this way, or do we want them forward? Same with the level, where do we want their hands facing? Because that does make a difference of what they look like. I don't know if we ever specified with this.
No.
So that's something I would look at. We're not going to worry about it right now, but just the little differences of those details, where they are. Okay, then from there, so we did boom and a hop, hop. We wrap our head 5. So even that is going to be something. Are we wrapping here? Are we wrapping here? Are we wrapping here? Where our hands are. Let's get them in as close as we can. 5. We do our head 6. And now this is one of those moves that I feel like is very stylized and hard. And I feel like you guys have to feel better today, right? Yesterday. This is one of those moves that I feel like when you first learned it yesterday, you're like, ooh, I feel really awkward. So just know they might have that kind of stuff, and then a night goes by and they're gonna feel better about it. So 5, we do 6 and 7 and 8. So with this, their stuff we would look at is focusing on where their hand is placed, their hip moving with their walks as they're doing it too. And then also like using your energy of your body rather than being here, but letting yourself move and kind of go up and down with it as you do it as well.
What is some advice if you have multiple coaches? I just been going off of even like when I was in college. Like what I like to focus on is like feet. Like they all know, like in all the ponies that we ever do, it's knees. Like I am like the leg person. If your legs aren't up, I will tell you. Where I feel like Allie's more upper body, so then we can clean it at the same time, kind of thing. So kind of pick with all of your coaches what you're gonna focus on, so the cleaning process goes quicker too.
Something Cindy just pointed out too that I didn't pick up on yet, but when they're wrapping, boom, and they bring their arms down, some of us had our arms here, and some of us had our arms here, and some of us had them here. So I would say I kind of want them to be like fists by your side, rather than, I don't really want you glued, but it's all the little things, so film as much as you can, and that is probably my biggest thing that we do often. We film them, I use a GoPro because it's nice, especially when you're in a smaller, like right now we have our studio open, so we have more space, but when we're in our half a studio, we like to do the GoPro because it gets all of them in the video.
Or if you're bleachers either, like if you can't get up high, at least you can still get that wide view.
Exactly, it's so nice, so I highly suggest getting a GoPro. We film, once we learn our dance, we film it almost every single practice, and I normally put the video on YouTube and I send them the link. But then also make sure you're watching it with them at practice, because you're going to pick up a lot of stuff that you need to point out to them that they might not pick up watching it at home. So being able to point that out to them, but you also are going to see a lot of hawkishness and different things. Like example for this, you might not catch that in person, but you'll really notice it on a video. So watching your arm placement on that kind of stuff. Slow-mo videoing is super helpful too. Slow-mo hip-hop is scary. So we did 5, 6, and 7, 8, and we jump our opposite ways. 1, 2, switch it, 3, 4. So even watching the difference of their plie, when their body is rotating, we got to think about that. The way that they're circling their arms. Can we just do this move? 1, 2, 6, 3, 4. Just that move. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. Go. 1, 2, 3. I just counted like an idiot. Sorry. Let's try that again. I'll count faster. 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. One more time.
Circle out, not in. Out, out, out.
Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. But that is something that some of us aren't doing. Keep your head forward on this. So we don't want to look the way that we're going, but we're keeping your head forward and forward.
Also, if you drew a square around yourself, you'd be going to your 2 front corners. I'm seeing with this. Front quarters, front quarters.
Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Good. That's better. So then from there, I'm on well, this count, so it's really 5, isn't it? Or is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Yeah, that is what it is. Yeah, do it from here and go into the 3-step turn. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good. And then I can remember you saying you're doing 6, 7, 8. Doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So you are taking 4 steps, so make sure you're doing that. Ready? Let's try that again. So go back into your windows. So something that would be hard about this, I think, is really focusing on hitting that file on 8 and making sure you're perfectly straight, because that's what's going to make all the next part look good, and so we don't want to be out of our file. Think too, when we're doing this, the lower you get, the easier it's going to be, and really, I know it's fast, but focusing on using your upper body. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Arms on 5, 6, 7, 8. Should we keep them in the fist? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Keep them in fist next to your body. Let's try that one more time. That's what it was. Yeah. And so when you're watching stuff to clean, sometimes you can't figure out what it is, and that would be a good time to slow-mo it, and slow-mo it next to somebody that you know is doing it how you want it to be done, because then you're going to be able to pick up a lot easier what it is that they're doing differently. Because sometimes it's not that they look like they're doing it wrong, you just can't figure out what's different about it. Ready? 5, 6, 7, elbow, elbow, yeah. 6, 7, 8. Get to those arms, watch those arms, and then not wiggling after 8. Okay.
Our feet all the way closed.
Yes. Your feet should be all the way together on 8. Then we go into our opposite part. We did 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 1, 2, and 3, 4. So on this would definitely be something that is going to be hard cleaning wise with arm placement. I'm just thinking of my part that I know.
My part's sick.
So up people. When you do this, making sure that our arms are the exact same. So again, this would be a point where you have to find somebody you want them to copy and do it. So like I will have them copy me. We're going to do it really slow, really focusing on that and looking at things like where are their legs? Are their legs the same as me? Their back foot. If they're here, it's going to make it look different than if they're here. So we want to really look at that. We're using our head as we go. We do our pull, pull. And so this elbow should be up and I'm almost touching my chest. So it's boom and up, ha, ha. Yep, and then let your shoulder twist open there too. So our shoulders are closed, and the same thing with my knee. Boom, boom. I open my knee on that last one. Boom, and a ha, ha. Yeah? Let me see you do it. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8, go, boom, and ha, ha. That's like working that knee positioning. I think that's hard about it. So finding that we're going boom, turning that knee in, and then pull, pull. And let it open with that last one. Boom, and a ha, ha. I'm kind of moving with both. With both a little bit. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8, go, boom, and ha, ha. Yeah, and then watching where this arm is stopping and making sure, like your hand, we want to watch where this hand is and so it's not here or here. And then we're bringing it. Did we end up turning or going? I think we turned. We turned. I keep forgetting what it is because I changed it. Boom. Oh, yeah, and ha, ha. Turn your rear foot. Feet together. Yes, do you want to go over your part?
Yeah. So we're here, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so instead of, I saw some people, right when we did this from the top, snake this way. Can you guys more dive this way? Dive. Yeah. So you're diving 1 and up. Your weight's more on your right, then we're going pop, pop. Yeah, pop, pop. Well, I'll try that, ready? 5, 6, 7, 8, and dive at it. Good, watch it and keep this part of your body where it is, and it's just isolated with the head.
Ooh, just the booty.
One more time, ready? 5, 6, 7, 8, and down, and it. Now watch, we're not doing 1 and, it's 1. You see the difference? 1 and a hop, hop. One more time, ready? 5, 6, 7, 8, and a shoot, and a yeah. Yeah, so you're here 3 and, you then swoop it, remember hand goes to the other knee, shoot.
What is the head on it?
Keep front.
Your head stays up as you go in.
Shoot. It's more about this part than your head doing anything. Boom, ha, ha, hey, ha.
You see how Annie's feet met her in the middle? They didn't go one front of the other. I picked out in the front of my eyes, somebody going.
Like stepping this way.
Yeah.
Go. Yes. One more time, ready? 5, 6, 7, 8, and a down, and a hey, ha. Yeah. Watch that too. You're not lifting anything else when you're going hit, hit. It's literally just boom, boom. Boom, boom. Ha. Yeah. Try it together.
Yeah, let's go first.
Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. It's a boom and a ha, ha, boom, hey. And so what we're really working on right now that's kind of difficult about this, but after rows 2 and 4 do this turn, is getting back into their files. So that's going to be something that will definitely be on our list. And what we would do is just sit and do this gait count over and over and over and over until we get it looking how we want it, until they feel comfortable with it as well. Last little move that we're going to go over with you guys, and then we're going to let you go. Oh yeah, we're going to show. Oh yeah. But this move was one that I think this was kind of difficult, wasn't it? Yesterday, we were doing this a little bit and fast. Yeah, because your feet are keeping the same tempo, but your upper body isn't. So it's one of those moves that's a little bit difficult. So their feet are stepping out and together and out and together. So we're keeping that same up and down feeling, but our arms are going out and in and out and in. So getting that boom and a ha and a boom and a ha at the same time. They look way better at it today than we did yesterday. So just that overnight helps. And like how many times you circle your arm is what makes that difference. But then also using your chest. So if we're facing the side, using our body. Boom and a ha and a boom and a ha. And working on that. Let's do it one more time. Just this move. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, boom, and hit, boom, and hit. Good. Even think about this a little bit more.
Bella, get your arms down quicker. We can see your sleeves. Yep.
Yeah, so watch those upper bodies and arms. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8, go down and up and boom and up.
Yes, Bella, way better.
Good. And getting your feet all the way together in between. So, should we do this one more time now that we've cleaned it with the music? Yeah. All right, let's do it, guys. Here we go. Let's see faces this time too.
You guys have any questions, type them in. We're ready right now. Ready, here we go.
They want to get a question about cues. So what do you mean more about cues when cleaning?
Talking about cues when cleaning, I guess I more meant when you're teaching, like if you go like next, it's, you know,
One, 2, or 3, 4, or 5, 6. If you start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, they might start moving faster. But if you count the way it's supposed to be, it's going to make them do it better.
and what I meant by you know, next, it's the contagion. We go group 1, 2, group 3, 4. Next, we are traveling, so they know where you're going, and you kind of can lead them. They learn much quicker if you are great at cueing. And we'll maybe just show you our Christmas dance. We won't clean the whole thing. And then what we're going to do is have the 3 of us sit here, and we hope you type in a bunch of questions, and we have a list of stuff to talk about, and then we'll let these guys go. The only reason I wanted to show you their holiday production dance is a part of a long, we do a hip hop production that's about 10 minutes long, and it goes all the way from young kids to old kids, and it's all Christmassy or holiday. But it's kind of goofy, and I think the neat thing is that they will do it. They will get into it. They will get in character and have a little fun with it.
It's a completely different style than even Gasolina.
Oh, completely different, yeah.
They're straight reindeer.
Yes, there we go. Okay, so here we go. We'll just show you that click, and if you have a question on it, have you cleaned this?
Oh, we cleaned this a little bit, way more than we did the other one.
Yeah, so they cleaned this one a little.
Do you guys do you know this really good? Yes. All right. Let's go, team.
So they're reaching a little reindeer, man. All right, really full on faces. Begin this, people. All right.
All right. Go away there. Here's your motivation. Your name is Earl. Think of the red mountains and what they like. Then, okay. Some, two, take Christmas.
Thank you.
Good job. Yeah.
Yeah, you're awesome. Thank you. They're all clapping. Right, so. Okay, so we'll start, going over a few more things, maybe grab a chair, Amy and Allie.
Okay.
And, okay, so one of the things I noticed, I do talk teams in a lot of competitions where we are giving feedback to the teams. And when we do hip hop, one of the things I notice a lot, well, actually I notice it in any style of cleaning. A lot of groups are great at the actual dancing, but whenever the transitions happen where they're switching formations, they shut down. And it seems like they do dance and then they move to formation and then they come alive again. And then they move to formation and come alive. So make sure that you stay alive the whole time. And I often think if you could beef up your transitions, you know, high knees or whatever the footwork is that you're traveling with, you could beef up those formations, you'd probably be getting a lot more points, okay? So, and Allie mentioned phones and filming, and the one thing I just want to make clear is we got where we were using Huddle a lot, and the kids were doing it at home, and I found out that it wasn't as, it's very helpful for the motivated kids, for the ones that go home and they're like the type A's that are like, oh my gosh, I'm off on this, I'm off on that, they're really honing in on the whole thing. It is not great for the kids that could, you know what I'm talking about, your kids that drive you crazy, that you need to kind of make sure they're getting it. So when you do that, I would make sure that you are watching your films together and you are pointing out, like, who is this? Who's off right here? And Allie is so right. You need to say names. You need to treat them as they're almost a part of a machine and you're just trying to get it all to work together. So be specific on all those different things. Any questions, people? Start throwing them in so we can, little things I think is every kid should have a twin and you watch half sides so that you have somebody watching every member. You as the coach can't watch everybody. You know, maybe you could if you had 8 kids, which I know a lot of you probably do, but if you have like 24 kids, it's hard to watch every kid. So if you have a twin, we do half sides and we name each side, you know, something funny that goes with the dance. And like one year we did robots, we had the nuts and the bolts, and we'd go nuts are up, and then the bolts had to watch their twin. And that way they should, if their twin doesn't look good, they don't look good. They should be watching every single thing they do. I have today, and maybe because they learned that routine yesterday, they didn't have as good of faces as we normally do, but we practice how we're gonna perform. I don't let my kids mark stuff. We go full out when we do something.
And same with faces, I think a lot of kids, I'll get I'll do it at the show. I don't really get that anymore, but we
never
had
do
it.
anymore. We
Yes.
used to.
But we practice our faces. I always say it's just like marking turns. You're not allowed to mark your turns. You're not allowed to mark your faces. It's something you have to do.
I think it's important to create some events to perform at before your big event. So if you're going to state, I would make sure you go to dance for mom and dad, dance at a basketball game, have a parent night, have
a send-off.
Have a send-off, go to a grade school.
Yes, question.
What's the question?
I tend to clean the style out of my hip hop routines. Where's the balance between that hip hop style and a super clean and tight routine?
Well, that's one thing Allie was actually talking about is in high school hip hop, it does get watered down a little and made less stylized and more clean.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's hard.
which is okay, but I also think it's finding that balance. So kind of like I was saying with this move that we were doing earlier, I would work on it for a while because cleaning style does take longer and you're not going to see the progress as quickly. So give them a little bit of time to get it. And then if it's still not happening, then I would change it. Because I do know like being clean is a huge part of it. So there'll be moves that we do and we're like, okay, like for example, we had this move that was in our Christmas pants and it was just like not happening. We weren't getting the style of it. So we decided to change it because we were like, oh, it's not worth it. It's not cool enough to try to keep the move in there. So I would kind of weigh it out.
We did though, like have it in there for 3 days kind of thing. And then that third day it was like, okay, it's still, they're not getting where we want in the shoulders, that sort of thing. Yeah, I know like choreography weekends for sure. Sometimes the choreographer leaves and you're like, what kind of dance is this? But that's okay. Like you have to break down the style and where you want to group and where you want them to hit hard. And if then again, if they're not getting in the next 4 days, that's when it's not worth it. We have to alter it.
And you also have to kind of go off of what your team is. So again, like with the warm-up that we do, if you have a team that can't even isolate their ribs, the chances that they're going to be able to get those isolations in the, I don't know why I'm doing this move, but it's one of those ones that's good. But the chance that they're going to get that style then in the isolation in the dance is probably not as good. If they, if they can't do it in the warm-up.
It's the same thing as like putting a quad pirouette in your dance if you can only do a single.
Yeah.
It's just hip-hop.
And the other question?
The other question, do you watch video footage with the dancers?
That's what I was saying, that we had started not doing it because we were utilizing Huddle, and we found we took a slide back because the kids weren't all, the heavy hitters were focusing on it, but the ones you really needed to weren't. So,
but even there, like they'll go home and watch and critique themselves, but when they're just looking at themselves, they might look good, but they still might be doing it different than we want it. So being able to watch it as a group and go, okay, so we like how she's doing it, see how you're a little bit different, and we point it out, and they know it's not out of us being mean, unless they're not working hard, and that's why we're pointing them out. But most of the time, they know it's because we're trying to get them to be the same. So we try to really watch as much with them as possible. Like I actually keep a TV, which is missing right now, but I keep a TV in my studio, and I'll do it all the way down to like my little kids. I'll sit with them and watch their video and go, okay, do you see what I'm saying about your arms here? See how we're different? The more you can do that and point it out to them, the better.
another question?
Yep.
For hip hop costuming, any do's or don'ts for costuming choices?
Ooh, that's a great
Hair
question.
bands versus legging versus joggers, etc., etc.
I do love colored stuff. I don't get
Well, they can talk. First thing I'll say is, for me, it's all about the shoes. Like we had a group wearing hot pink shoes, and oh my gosh, I loved it because the footwork was amazing. And so I feel like shoes are huge. I know one thing I don't like is when you go baggy. I would either rather have you go baggy on top and tight on bottom, or tight on top and baggy on bottom, if that makes sense.
Yep, and I just think, like, as much as you can make what you're doing be visual, like, I'm a big person on having cool sleeves with their costume. Like, I've even one year, a cheap route we had black t-shirts with long sleeve white shirts underneath, and I had so many people be like, oh my gosh, I love your hip hop costumes. And it was literally just a t-shirt over a long sleeve shirt, but their arm movement looked so cool. And I just saw a really cool costume that I liked the other day that they had bright yellow sleeves with black right here, and it just, their visuals and stuff look so awesome. Or any kind of stripes that you can have down the legs, or bright pops of color on the costume make a big difference visually. Going back to the shoes though, if you have a team that their footwork kind of struggles, I would maybe wear black shoes with black leggings, because otherwise you're going to be drawing attention to their messy footwork.
Yeah, look what we
But it
did.
does look good.
Oh yeah, I loved it when we did.
I think another one that I just saw the other day is like actual like gloves or something on the hands. Like they would wear all black and they had colored gloves. Again though, if they're not sharp with their hands or their arms, I wouldn't focus on that.
And I think we have a question about hair. So for hip hop, I think you can be a little bit more lax. However, your hair is gonna make a difference of how clean you look. So I don't like wearing like tight buns for hip hop. Our kids, I think last year, did we do braids? Is that what we did last year? But like even, yeah, like braids or slicked ponies or anything or half up, I think down, like fully down, you're not gonna be able to see their facials as much. So I think having their hair somewhat back is good.
I've worn hats before, like when I was in college. One year we wore a hat with hair down, and then the next year we wore a hat with it back. The only thing about hats is you have to then wear them to practice because of their chins. Like if our chins were ever down, the judges can't see your facials at all. So we would have to practice like always having our chins up. We would film that way. So I would
Because you're gonna miss a lot of that
Yeah.
expression.
Or even like if we turned our head, if one girl was here, I mean the bill, you would tell a difference. So hats are great, but then also wear them at practice so you can clean heads too.
One of the things I was gonna just touch on is endurance. I think that you have to really, hip hop is hard and you get tired. And
If you're doing it right.
if you're doing it right, your quads are probably burning, and so really make sure they're in shape so that they can execute the moves all the way through the dance. And one of the things we do a lot, all of us, we laugh that we all said this on our notes, is work the last third of the dance first, so they are good at the last, and they remember, like if you hit the last third of the dance when you're not tired, that's how your memory is going to recall it when you perform it, hopefully. So get that, usually the beginning of the dance is the strongest. I know a certain team I watch all the time in Minnesota, they come out and you're like, oh my God, they're so good, they're so good. And then they just, by the end, they can't sustain it. So know that about your team. Know if you're able to sustain the whole routine, and that takes endurance. So.
And normally you end up getting way better in the first part because you always start with it and then you do it and then you're like, oh, stop, we got to clean that part. But they already did the whole first part. So you get to do it and do it and do it, where you're not doing that with the third dance because you maybe stop before you even get to it. So another good reason to clean the third or the last third first.
Any more questions? I might have more stuff here. We actually started in the middle because one thing I'll just say when I'm running our practices, and I know this isn't cleaning, but it really does affect cleaning because you have to utilize every minute, start on time, end on time. And it's really important to have your kids get the culture that they have to be in there, ready to go, on time. I have to laugh because the other day I was starting and one of my girls came in and she was on the dot on time. She goes, Coach, I'm sorry I'm on time. And I kind of looked at her and she goes, I mean, because we're supposed to be early. And so I thought that was really a telltale of our culture, that I'm sorry I'm on time. And I love that. It made me feel really good. So think about utilizing every minute, okay, and try not to over-explain and do it. I think some coaches over-explain and the kids get bored while you're talking. So get to it and do it, and you'll figure out what they don't understand.
Before we get to this question, I wanted to say one thing about that. Actually, example would be with this class that we had in here tonight. Last Friday, Addie and I were really frustrated with them because we felt like they were being lazy and not trying. And after we were kind of like, oh, it's probably partly because we weren't fully prepared. So we were moving a lot slower. And then yesterday we had all that choreography to teach them. And they were working so hard. They were silent. And they had a lot of fun. And so did we. And we didn't get as angry because we were more prepared and ready to go. So be prepared.
So true.
The question. Oh, wow.
We tend to have limited practice times in
Yep.
Iowa. Is there one thing you recommend every team implement?
Do you mean in cleaning or?
Just I think in general.
Move on to the next question.
And then come back to that and see, maybe ask them that. Did you mean in cleaning
Or
or?
in general?
When it comes to hip hop
I mean, I would really
I can say one thing.
Okay, you go.
I would say to really work on if you have limited time, you gotta use it. So make sure that they are doing it right when they're doing it. They're learning it right. I know she makes me slow down sometimes. So they learn it correctly, and your memory will recall it that way. But don't go back and clean. Like they should be, they should be so in tune to where their personal placement is. And if you're kind of a Nazi about it, then they'll pick that up. So about personal placement, I guess that would be my biggest thing, is to really utilize your time and really practice right. If you have limited time, don't waste it. and make, you know,
And I would really try to implement doing a warm up at the beginning, just because I really think it helps them focus, and it's making them get better at that isolation, and they're going to pick up choreography a lot better.
It may help your program down the road too. Like I feel like maybe in like the first year you may not see a big change, but I'm telling you, like I came here 4 years ago to Brainerd, and our kids have gotten so much better just watching like little kids learn from the older kids do the warm up. Like it's insane. So implement it now, and then you'll see it grow in your program.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think hip hop is something that takes time to get that style.
It's
So
difficult.
Don't be frustrated. All of a sudden that won't happen. Is there another question?
Second question, how many hours a week do you practice per routine? Oh, there's actually more to this. How many hours for hip hop? Do you have longer practices when it gets closer to competitions?
Sometimes we do. Now this group that you're seeing here, this is a studio class rather than a school team, because Minnesota doesn't do hip hop. And what do they practice for hip hop?
These guys are practicing, so they don't actually, during our whole winter dancing season, they don't have hip hop. So in the fall, we have them for an hour on Wednesdays and an hour on Fridays. So they're just practicing hip hop 2 hours a week in the fall, and then they take November, December, January, and February off. They don't have any hip hop, and then we do the same thing in the spring, Wednesday, Friday, 2 hours a week. So really, they're only practicing hip hop 2 hours a week.
And then and then our first competition is at the end of March. So they start back in the end of February, and we have a month to get them learning choreography cleaned and ready to go.
But and I know in Iowa, you know, because I've done camps down there, that a lot of you guys are in everything, and it's hard to find the time. And I know many practice in the mornings and different things like that. We practice in Minnesota probably 5 to 6 days a week, which I know probably doesn't work for you guys because your kids are in everything. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I guess
I would say to make sure you're splitting your time up between all your dances that you're doing. So if you're doing 2 styles, doing half and half, or sometimes devoting this practice to this style and this practice to this style. If you're on a roll one day working on this, sometimes it's good to just keep going with that rather than making yourself stop when you're in a good groove of cleaning it.
And I think with limited practices, you have to be more prepared than when you have more time.
For
Because,
sure.
you know, they always say work expands to fit the time allowed. So I think when you got to hit it hard and go in with organized choreography, that's going to help you. Well, we've gone over. We're happy to keep going if people have more questions. Anybody?
Hey Cindy, it's Andrea. I just
Yeah.
wanted to chime in. We'll see if anybody has any last minute questions. Alyssa, thanks. Start my video. Okay. So anyway, ladies, I just want to say a couple of things. There is a question that just came up, so I'll wait. What do you do for warm-ups? Can you give some examples? So Kelly, at the very beginning, they did warm-ups. So when we send out the recording, you'll see that. Is that fair, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, people kind of trickled in as they became available. But before your dancers left, I wanted to tell them that they were amazing. Holy cow, I can't believe they just learned that choreography.
I know, I couldn't believe it either, but I watched them learn it yesterday. I was out in the lobby and I just went, oh my gosh, I have to come in and see what this is. So
I'll have to tell them that you said that.
that's
Yeah, I wanted to tell them thank you for sharing part of their night with us in Iowa. That it was super awesome to watch them. And I wrote down so many notes. There's tons of notes, and I'm sure the people that are muted right now would agree.
good.
And there's probably 200 more that watch it later that will get a lot from it. So
I had a great time, and these guys were fabulous. So
yes, you guys are fabulous. So
if you have any questions, please email
I
me.
know, I was just trying to try not to over practice a routine. That's from Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
Excuse me. So thank you so much, you guys. Sorry.
No problem.
Thank you. We'll see you all later.
Yeah, thank you everybody that joined, and thank you, the 3 of you. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.